Hey guys, I'm Steffi Steph, and this is Bobby, and this is an episode of Between Two Teeth. What are we talking about today?
Well, we're doing a Harvard Business Review. The title of the review is Hold Your Team Accountable with Compassion, Not Fear. Author, Liane Davey. She's written a couple books, The Good Fight and You First.
Oh, fantastic. This is an exciting topic, for someone who's 5'3" and has no kind of hope of ever instilling fear into anybody from a physical presence standpoint. This gives me hope because this is kind of the right way to have accountability.
And I liked it about realistically getting the outcome you want as a leader, but using compassion instead of fear. Fear can work in certain situations, but it's not the way that things should be done or most things should be done. It's getting the outcome that you desire with kindness.
Cool. So let's dive in.
Let's dive in. Number one, set clear expectations and share them with your team.
Right. So this is the Mount Everest for new docs. And I still consider myself a new doc. You're not even if you just graduated, but you graduated recently from your dental school or residency, and where expectations were prevalent. You weren't setting them maybe for yourself, but you were definitely meeting or exceeding expectations set by other people. Now the roles are reversed. And also you graduate and you think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be super creative. I get a chance to be my own boss. I'm going to be the person that's calling the shots. And then the reality check of all of this is that if you don't have a standardized approach, and if you're not having boom, 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 something that you can communicate with someone else, you're not going to be very well supported, which gets into this accountability.
It's super tough as a new leader. In my MBA program, I was encouraged from the fact that a lot of the faculty are like, look, you need to read a leadership book every month. This is a continual evolution. As you said, you come out of school, you're like, oh, okay, I've got a team that I'm working with and they're going to listen to me and I'm going to be a leader. And then you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many unique challenges. I love this point because it says, be clear with your expectations. I've done this. I've assumed that everyone knows what I want. It's in my mind. I know what I want. They should know what I want, but I've never told them.
Yeah. So setting clear expectations and understanding what your expectations are, that's part of the challenge in the process. So what's our next step here?
The next one is maintain attention.
I like this. One thing that's rolling around on TikTok and social media, or it has been in the past years, is these visual boards. They are boards where you put up pictures of what you want to accomplish instead of writing necessarily a lot of words. And what this does is it keeps pictures in your mind. And in the same way, when they're talking about maintaining attention, what's in sight is what's in mind. And so if you can put up, whether it's positive feedback or milestones that people are accomplishing in your office, this is a way to have this compassionate accountability.
Yeah. And if you have a team on a project and you're not continually having touch points to have updates, that shows that you as a leader, this is important to you. You're tracking this. You're going.
Yeah. If you don't care, they're not going to care. What's our next step?
Next step, number 3, create psychological safety.
This is great. A safe space means that you don't expect perfection. We want to get as close to perfect as possible, but we're not just saying, hey, this is where I made a mistake as a sibling. I would always expect my brother to be perfect, whether we were practicing or like soccer, or if we were even like playing with toys. There was some kind of expectation of perfection here. But in the same way, you're not going to, if someone walks into a situation with you and they're like, wow, there's no way I'm going to get this right, it's demoralizing. And so not having this expectation of perfection, but rather coming at it with compassion and creating this safe space saying, hey, we are in this challenge together. I'm okay with the struggle. I'm okay with seeing the process. It's going to be a messy process, but I also believe in you and I know you can do it.
I like what you said there. And if perfection is the only outcome, then the team will not be accountable. And you'll have people give up. That's tough because I think a lot of us are perfectionists and it's hard to kind of be realistic about that. One of the things that can help is you talk to your team and ask them about what are you struggling with in this?
And that's a great point. And also to note on that, one of the biggest differences is personalities. When you're in dental school or you're in college with your pre-health classes, it's a biased group of people. The cohort is not a random sampling of society, and it's definitely not going to be reflective of the people that are walking in your office asking you for a job. These people are a different mindset. So your classmates in dental school, maybe they were self-motivated. Maybe they had their own system of accountability. They're in dental school. They had to be accountable to themselves in some way. And this creating this psychologically safe space is introducing this whole potentially new concept of accountability to someone in their 20s who maybe has never had this concept of accountability in their life that maybe your dental school classmate picked up on at a way earlier age.
It took me a long time to figure out that I wasn't perfect.
Right. What's the next one?
No, you're just going to let me hang with that one.
Yeah, no, absolutely going to let you hang with that
I
one.
am so far from perfect. And I think once I realized that really helped me.
Right, that's helping on the empathy part of this.
But expecting perfection, and sometimes as leaders, we guide too much and we tell them, this is how
So that gets into micromanaging. You know, having accountability tells people the who, what, where. The area you don't want to go into is how. If you can stay away from the how and stay focused on the who, what, and where, you will avoid micromanaging. And more importantly, you'll instill that accountability, that feeling within each component of your team.
And that's the fourth point. Be a coach, not a micromanager. We've seen people that are heavy micromanagers. Are you a micromanager at all?
I don't like to be, but I can be. You know, one thing we're doing at our office right now is kind of whenever we bring on new people, we try to set expectations with how notes are managed. And it's really tough not to micromanage because our notes are super important for patient safety. And it's really tough to not micromanage in that, but it'll absolutely drive you crazy if you can't find a way to instill accountability in the quickest way you can, because it does. The devil is in the details.
And with feedback, one of the things I love from this article, it talked about giving minor course corrections,
right,
and to ask questions of your team and to sort of help them understand the consequences. If they say, well, the plan is to do this, say, well, what do you think will happen if that does happen?
And that goes back full circle to setting expectations. Yeah. And not only setting expectations, but realizing you're not going to get a carbon copy of what you want. So not only do you have to know what you need and know the expectations to communicate with somebody else, you have to actually prioritize them. You can't do this information dump on someone. You'll see the eyes glaze after about the second or third point. And good luck getting any of that through. So take your wins, know the priority of the expectation, explaining, for us, making sure that, if you're in a dental office, prioritizing, hey, we can't get the tooth number wrong versus, oh, you misspelled this super complicated medication, kind of knowing what to correct there.
Yeah. The last point in this article, number 5, use appropriate consequences. This didn't speak to me as much as it spoke to you.
Yeah, this kind of brings everything together. When we set clear expectations, and part of compassion and this whole idea of kind of being accountable or having compassionate accountability, it's a contract. It's not an absolute. So that can mean that you can do everything right and you can have the clearest expectations, but sometimes the most compassionate thing is to let somebody go. It's tough for a nice person or an empathetic person to kind of get their head wrapped around this. But what it does is it creates a negative vibe, if I can use that millennial word, on your team. And so if you keep someone around, people can smell it in the water. They know this person's not working out, whether it's they're negative with the team, they're not meeting expectations. 2 things will happen if you keep someone like this on your team. 1, it'll lower the standards for everybody else in the office because, hey, if they don't have to do it and they still get to keep their job, why am I busting my butt, feeling accountable, feeling guilty, downtrodden? Why am I doing this? And so part of this compassionate accountability is just that, knowing not everyone's going to work out and that's okay. The compassion side of this is giving them a graceful exit. Not
everyone should be on the bus.
Not at all. And most people that come in for a job probably won't meet your expectations, and that's okay. be clear, do your part, set very clear expectations, create a safe space, be a coach, not a micromanager. And at the end of the day, if it's not the right fit, that's okay.
I think the crux of this, from my perspective, is the clarity component.
Yeah.
You and I were at a conference where we heard Brene Brown talk about being clear and being kind.
Yeah.
And that has resonated with me an awful lot in the past year. I think I have the clarity. I'm trying to work on kindness because sometimes I'm not appreciative of,
I think in an office setting,
emotions.
People definitely appreciate kindness and niceness in their tone. But what I've heard from employees over the years is that when I ask people like, oh, why'd you leave this job or why'd you leave that job? They say, I didn't. It was just, the boss was all over the place. They didn't know what they had to do. And so I think people appreciate, if you have to really fall on one side of the sword, I think people appreciate clarity.
Clarity and probably consistency.
Clarity and consistency. Absolutely. I mean, of course, be kind. Everyone, we know how to be kind, but I think it's more challenging to be kind or to be clear.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you for joining us on this adventure. If you love what we're talking about, please hit the subscribe.